dedicating this episode to Ryan and his wife Ayumi because she's going into labor, so they're going to be having a baby today.
What?
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, I just got off the phone with him like less than an hour ago, and he was.
Oh, let me text him right now.
He sounds tired. Like he's been in the hospital since like 2 a.m. this morning. So yeah, it's exciting. There's going to be a big change in their household.
Oh yes, they are going to be very tired from here until
the rest of your life.
Until they get used to their new routine. I would say it takes. I would say the hardest is the first 2 weeks. That's what I always say, and then it takes
that's
about.
Just because you're not used to it.
Well, at least for me, you still have the hormones and stuff going, and your body is starting to heal, starting to re-regulate itself hormone wise, and you've got a brand new baby and everything like that. And so, like, seriously, I would just be sitting there and I would be crying for like no reason whatsoever, and I'd be like, we're killing your baby for no reason.
What? You're killing?
No reason whatsoever. Exactly, no reason. And Andrew's like, we're fine. And so we're like, I don't know, baby's fine, like baby's sleeping, baby's happy, baby's fat and stuff, Yeah. I'm like, is she gonna be okay? And Andrew's like, where's this even coming from? Is she not okay? I mean, is there something you need to tell me?
Did you see something? Like, did she bump her head? Like, what's going on? And you're like, no, she's just sleeping. Like, is she breathing? We should check on her.
I know, exactly. So yeah, it's pretty stupid when the hormones are raging like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would say, because I would say the first 2 weeks are the worst, and then after that it takes about the first 2 months to kind of get used to your new routine. With two, it's different because you're still trying to take care of one, you're trying to keep number two alive, and also trying to get adequate sleep because you still have to stick with the normal schedule of number one.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah, and so you still have to wake up when they wake up, because it's not like you could be like, you just stay in your room and hang out in your crib for another 4 hours. I don't know.
That's funny. Leading into today's episode, I wanted to say just like a little disclaimer, because I feel like a lot of people might think like, this is really random. Like, why would you be doing this movie of all movies, right? But you know what? From the very first day you joined the podcast team, I think it was pretty much known that we were eventually going to do an episode on Spice World. Like, I think that was just like one of the ones that we listed first, right? Like, we coming in, I think you and I both had an idea of like, okay, yeah, it would be fun to do a couple episodes of this, a couple of episodes of that. But if you have like the Venn diagram, it's like you have the list in the middle of like something that we both thought of. And I feel like Spice World was there.
Oh, definitely. It was definitely inevitable that we were going to touch on this movie, if you can call it that. Yeah, we're definitely gonna. It was part of both of our childhoods, and I definitely think that it was always gonna happen for sure.
Before we even started the episode, earlier in the day, you texted me and you're like, "Yeah, there's no need to do like a shot for shot rundown of this movie."
Definitely not.
We can probably leave a lot of stuff out. So I was like, I can already get an idea of how you felt, but we'll definitely dive into that a little bit.
Yeah, it's gonna be one of those things like, have you there's this guy that does the videos where it's just like everything that was wrong about a movie.
Oh yeah, I love watching
that's
those.
How I felt like. Yeah, exactly. I've seen a few of those and they're pretty funny and stuff, but that's how I felt like every time something would happen, just like ding 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 ding,
Yep,
like all the stuff.
Yeah, and we didn't know when or where it was going to happen, but you know what, we knew for sure at some point this was going to happen, and that time is now. The toughest part of doing these podcasts is kind of deciding the order of them, because you also don't want to do the same types of movies multiple times in a row. Like to change it up, add some different genres. And I almost feel like this would fall under the musical category because, it is a musical. They're singing in it. Music is a big part of this movie.
Yeah, as far as I know, it's considered a quote-unquote musical.
Musical comedy.
Or even like a mockumentary, even though that
I could see that. Yeah.
You know, that little arc of the story, if you call it a story,
Mm-hmm.
was completely pointless. But yeah, we'll get more into that.
Smashing.
Spice up your life. We're about to spice up everyone's lives right now.
How you doing, everybody? Welcome to Aflixionados podcast, episode 15. My name is Eric, and the other voice occupying your head this time is my sister, who is also devoted mom, soon to be mom for the third time, and co-host, Stephanie.
Girl power.
Thank you to all the listeners out there for joining us. Available on all major podcast streaming services, with new episodes dropping on the first Saturday of each month, 5 a.m. Pacific. Aflixionados is a monthly podcast where we mainly talk about films that range from mind-numbing to mind-blowing. Occasionally, we may also cover TV shows or other forms of media. It goes without saying, we will be getting into spoilers here, and there will be only the healthiest amount of expletives tossed in. You have been warned. Now, if you ain't ready, then get ready, because in today's episode, like we mentioned, we will be discussing the hidden gem and national treasure, Spice World.
Sweet Jesus. Here we go.
So let's start with this, because I think this is an appropriate place to start with this episode. Who are the Spice Girls?
Good point.
So before we even get to the movie, I want to talk about who are the Spice Girls.
So the Spice Girls, you may have, as a listener, either been not born yet, but if you were alive during the time of the Spice Girls and you don't know who they are, then I don't know what you're doing with your life. You must have been living under a rock. I don't know, because they were everywhere. They were a girl group during a time where there were many groups, boy bands, girl groups. That sort of thing was pretty big, you know. Spice Girls was closely followed by like NSYNC and Backstreet Boys, and around the same time, probably towards the very end of New Kids on the Block.
Doing the bye hand motion.
You still remember? Yeah. So Spice Girls, they're British. They're a five woman team, all about girl power and raising girls up and whatnot, and being there for your friends. And I don't know, did you actually like write something out for this part?
No, just kind of shooting from the hip.
Was it hoes before bros kind of situation?
Yeah, and you were mentioning like the Spice Girls may have been before a lot of the audience members' time. And How old were you when this second British invasion happened? Albeit, they came in kind of towards the end of the invasion, but I still feel like it was still considered the British invasion.
Yeah, definitely. I was 11 to 13, I want to say, or maybe like 10 to 13 was the range where they were my world. I kid you not. Oh man, I wish I had a picture or something, but I would just get magazines that featured the Spice Girls and magazines and posters, and I had so many pictures from magazines and or posters on my wall. It was literally wallpaper. There was like not
corner to corner.
Yes, or at least one wall was like that for sure.
Were they posters or were they just like clip outs of like magazines?
Some of them were posters. Some of those posters came in those magazines.
Gotcha.
But some of them were posters, but then everything else that filled in all the space was all pictures clipped out for magazines.
I can already tell this episode is going to be just a crazy nostalgia trip.
Right? Yeah, and there weren't any printouts or anything like that because the internet was fairly new and printers were not great at the time.
I think there was still the dot matrix where you had to rip off the little holes on the sides and everything.
I think so. Yeah, so we I think, laser or inkjet or whatever was just starting, and they were super expensive. Yeah. And everything had to be cut out from someplace else.
But wasn't that more fun? Like it was almost like a little craft activity.
It was kind of like a hunt, trying to hunt down something I didn't already have.
Okay.
That's the part that was fun.
What magazines would you get? Like, which ones had the best photos, would you say?
Man, there were a bunch of magazines who would, dedicate entire issues to, the Spice Girls or whatever band that they were featuring at the time or whatever. So there were magazines called like Teen Beat and something probably with pop in the name. I don't even remember, but they were huge at the time, especially for those of my age and a little bit older. the tweens and the early teens kind of age.
It's insane, honestly. Like you touched on it before. They were quite literally everywhere. To me, the Spice Girls seemed to take over everything. Everywhere you looked, they were there. So from
Yeah,
commercials to popsicles with bubblegum eyes to collectible toys.
lollipops, dolls. It was nice because as a fairly poor kid, I it wasn't hard to find the stuff that I wanted.
It was fairly cheap. It was accessible.
It was accessible, so that was nice. That was nice for me. But I mean, I didn't have a huge collection or anything like that, probably because of that. But magazines were inexpensive, easy to come by, and
Did you ever have any of those? I forgot what they're called, but I remember seeing them because I'm pretty sure Daniel had some. Our old next door neighbor. But do you remember those like Spice Girl Barbie things? They weren't quite Barbie branded, but I think they were basically Barbies. Do you
I
remember
do.
those?
Man, I should have pulled them out. I know exactly where they are.
You
I still
have
have them in
some?
my garage right now.
Oh man! Oh, you're gonna have to pull those out and take a photo of those. That's
I
awesome.
will.
Do you have all of them?
I think I have one of each, if I recall correctly. I might actually have something I can show you guys. Well, you right now, but I could totally post a picture on the
Okay.
Facebook. Hold on, let me go get it if I can find it real quick. This was another thing that everyone collected from Ice Cream Men
Oh,
and gas
is it what I think it is?
stations.
Oh, is it the lollipop?
It's the
Holy
lollipop.
shit! Is that ginger
It
spice?
still has the lollipop. Yep, this is ginger spice. It still has the lollipop in it. And
What
a
the
sticker
fuck?
in here. There apparently were 24 stickers to collect according to this. And I never touched this one for some reason. I think this was around the time maybe that she left.
I think you
And
want
I
to
thought this
collect it,
might
yeah.
become I thought this might become some sort of collector's item, so I didn't
Holy
open this
shit!
one.
Wow, that is.
And I
I
still
totally
have it.
remember those. So just can you describe that popsicle or that lollipop?
This was it was a lollipop, and it would come kind of Pokeball style, I think. If you see in the picture there, the
Yeah,
bottom
it's
half
two
was
tone.
red
Uh-huh.
and the top half was white, and the top half would have like a little image of that Spice Girl's face stamped in it.
That is
And but otherwise
awesome.
it was a normal lollipop
That is so
made
funny.
by the brand Chupa Chups.
Quite literally, no one had any shame when it came to marketing for Spice Girls.
Oh yeah.
There was Spice
Oh, it's
Girls
strawberry flavored.
everything. I can only imagine the bootleg stuff that came off of that too. So,
Oh, I know.
but you have an official lollipop. That's awesome.
Places there would be places that would sell random like posters and things like that weren't official.
Hmm.
And I want to say you could find them at like the kiosks in the malls and stuff like that, or maybe even like a collectible card shop or something like that. And they would have, unofficial bootleg posters and this and that. But if it was an image that I didn't have, I would want it.
Yeah, you didn't care. You're like official or not, I'll grab it.
Yeah, so I was obsessed. And Spice Girls, their first album was the first compact disc I ever owned. Fun fact:
What?
I owned that CD before I even owned a CD player.
You almost have to use that as like a way to convince mom and dad to say, okay, we'll finally get you a CD player. You're like, look, I have this disc and I have nowhere to play it.
Not even they didn't care. I just really wanted the CD.
Hmm.
But soon after, I found a CD player that was on a decent sale. And so I was basically like, hey, can I get this CD player? I want to say it was like, I don't know, $10 or maybe less.
Had to save up for it.
It was
Save
my
up your
first little
allowance.
little tiny yeah, it was my first little tiny boombox thing. It had the CD player in the top and the tape player in the front, and it was fairly affordable and got the job done.
Yeah.
I would take that thing into the bathroom with me, when I took my showers and blast my music.
You played the shit out of that first
I
album,
sure
didn't you?
did. Oh yeah.
And this is also why I know the songs so well from the first album. Probably the first two albums actually, because I would hear them nonstop.
Yep.
So it
From
was,
me.
it's kind of cool because I also get to share this experience with you, like otherwise I wouldn't have had any sort of memory of the Spice Girls and the craziness that the fandom that came with
Yeah,
that.
that's true. You're welcome for that life experience.
Favorite Spice Girl?
My favorite Spice Girl was Posh Spice.
Would you say she was the most popular?
No,
No.
I wouldn't say she was the most popular, but she was. I want to say one of the most popular. And oh, here's another fun fact: me and four friends on my street, we had our own Spice Girl group, and I kid you not, they basically recruited me at some point and just made me Scary Spice just because I was the only non-white girl in the group.
Damn.
Yeah, even though I'm Asian.
I always thought that you helped build the group, but they
I
recruited you
kind of
later.
did. I kind of took over. I mean, they recruited me last
Okay.
as Scary Spice, but I kind of took over because we had the big carport on the side. We
Hmm.
had two random bookshelves that were just sitting out there that we would tip onto their fronts and use as a stage. I actually would learn the choreography and teach it to them. I kid you not, I would learn the harmonies and teach them to them, and I
Wow.
would even make costumes.
So what did they do? Like, how did they contribute to the group?
By being members in it.
That was it. They didn't put like
After a
any.
while, no, I mean, they performed and stuff. You know, I mean, we were what 11, 12, or whatever, so it's not
Right.
like this was a super serious thing, but it was super serious to me at the time.
Them being like the ones to form the group, I guess, like initially, what did they hope to accomplish with it? Like they were just gonna dress up, but like they weren't gonna
Just
learn
it was
any of
just
the
for fun.
moves.
Well, I think they just weren't, you know, super,
Dedicated.
I don't know, OCD like I am to sit and watch and learn every little aspect.
Hmm. So you were
And
the
so
choreographer, like straight up.
kind of, yeah. I think I just it wasn't so much that I was, you know, a better member or something like that. It's just I was just the one that was that obsessed.
Hmm.
And so after a
Yeah.
while I became kind of indispensable and I was like, I want to be Posh or I'm out.
Damn. So what happened? There was almost like a power struggle.
There was, and then and I totally played that move, and they couldn't have me be out, and so they acquiesced to my demands. And the girl who ended up being Scary Spice because I took her Posh Spice spot quit. And that was around the time that Ginger Spice actually left the group. And so to us, we're like, okay, it was Scary Spice that left instead of Ginger.
It was like alternate history.
It was messed up.
Quick side note: if you haven't seen Pen 15, the show on Hulu, watch that because this is kind of in relation. Like I don't want to spoil anything, but
I keep hearing things about this show. Yeah, so getting back into the personal history here.
yeah. So you guys actually had live performances, and I remember this. You would have like little tiny concerts. Who would go to these?
In front of nobody. In front of nobody. Well, there were always, I guess there were always like rehearsals or dress rehearsals,
Hmm.
but we never actually had. Well, there was this one where I think we invited a bunch of people and nobody came, and yet they were kind of looking over the gate of the carport.
Hmm.
And so they came, but they didn't come because they didn't come into the carport. You know what I mean?
That was the venue.
Yeah, the carport was the venue.
That was funny.
And so when we did the performance anyway,
Uh-huh.
and they were like just kind of peeking over the carport and laughing and stuff. It was fun. It was fun. It was weird.
Since you were so dedicated and you learned the choreography and all that, how proficient were you at the pose? Like
It was perfect. It was immaculate.
the posh
I had an
point?
immaculate Posh point, and I actually brought it back once. At Soka University, birthday parties were kind of a big thing. So for somebody, I want to say it was actually a dude. We did a Spice Girls performance that was three girls and two guys dressed as girls.
Interesting. Okay.
It was great. And I immediately called Posh. I was like, I can do this. I have a wealth of experience in this.
Did the group ever have like a leader or a front woman or anything like that? I was kind of
I
curious about
kind of
that.
feel like it was. I feel like it was Ginger Spice. I feel like she was kind of the.
I thought so too, and I think someone actually mentioned that, like they thought that Ginger was the leader or whatever. But I don't know. Like I don't think she was the most talented singer or the best dancer or anything like
No,
that.
not necessarily, but she was the oldest. and so she kind of I think took on that leadership kind of role, I think, and she was
Hmm.
the I feel like she was the most outspoken.
I think by proxy, Posh may have been one of my favorites to start off, but had I gone off of just my own opinion, I think I always had a thing for Ginger. There's just almost like something about her where she had that raspy voice. She was kind of
Yeah,
sultry. She wasn't like a stick, you know. She was kind of,
curvy.
yeah,
Yeah,
she was curvy, and she had like the sex appeal. So she was,
and she was the quote unquote sexiest probably. I
yeah.
mean, Posh
I was gonna say
was
in a way she could have been like sexy spice, you
yeah
know. But she had like that like flirtatious like pinup style to her.
yeah definitely
It's funny because I almost feel like her theme was just it was more top level than that, and so it was like
right.
redheaded Spice Girl Ginger, perfect.
Seriously, yeah, she was the one who was the most outspoken about, I think, the whole girl power and feminism thing because she had
Mm,
less of a solid gimmick. You know what I mean?
interesting. So you feel like she almost had to overcompensate by like adding more layers and depth
Well,
to
maybe
her character,
that was her thing,
her thing. Maybe, yeah. She was the one that always said girl power the most. It seems like
and she wore the most,
she was very
Union
patriotic.
Jacks, yeah, as her outfits and stuff. So
So that mantra, though, the or slogan, if you will, "girl power." How did you interpret that? Like, what did that mean to you?
to me, it was a symbol of strength that I could do anything and be anything. And I wasn't defined by my boyfriends, even though I was completely boy crazy and
It
continued to be completely boy crazy all the way through my life.
was cool. I mean, yeah, it was feminism, but like it was like in a fun way. You know, it wasn't very serious and kind of like trying to shove their beliefs down everyone's throats. I felt like they were showing that like girls can be fun and sexy and like all that stuff that like they're kind of stereotyped with, but use that as like strength. You know, like that. Be proud of that.
It was nice. It was nice for girls my age for sure. I think in a
Hmm.
real world setting, it was very shallow. I don't know, honestly. I mean, as 11, 12-year old, whatever, I didn't know. I don't know if they were actually trying to make a real world impact, but if they were, I didn't know about it. Like they didn't make that super apparent,
Plus,
and
would you have really cared at that time?
yeah, I wouldn't have, but I feel like I at least would have heard something, like
Yeah,
Spice Girls, go to Africa and start a girls' school, and I don't know, something bigger than just
sure.
bringing up a bunch of tweens. But obviously, for me at the time as a tween, it was my whole identity for a little while.
Yeah, definitely. Fair question though. Who should they contact if they want to book gigs?
Nobody.
You guys are no longer taking gigs. Okay.
Definitely not. And we also live all in all kinds of different states. So
Yeah, that's true. So with this movie, Spice World, I was like thinking to myself before I even saw the movie again. I was like, why was this movie even made? You know, like why does it exist in the first place? And I'm not even trying to say that to be mean or like in a joking way.
I will tell you, fan service cash cow.
So as the Spice Girls popularity grew exponentially, this is actually pretty interesting. Disney approached the group about potentially making a film, and the Spice Girls turned down the script that they pitched because they felt it was too Disneyfied.
I
And
can see that.
initially the script was about a young single mother of one of the Spice Girls, so it would have been like one of the Spice Girls' moms, and it would have been about her fighting hardship to form the band. And so they're like, nah, that sounds stupid.
That's not even how the band formed. It would make more sense if they actually told a telling of how the band formed,
Yeah,
but that was done through show business ways like auditions and stuff. So it's not really
oh, true.
exciting.
Yeah. And Kim Fuller, who's the brother of the Spice Girls manager, Simon Fuller, decided to write an original screenplay just for them, which would become this movie, Spice World. And what was interesting to think about was they still kept the idea of a single mother, but instead of it being like one of the Spice Girls' moms trying to form the group, it was just a friend
A
that was
friend,
pregnant. Yeah.
yeah. And they have to realize that friendship is more important, everything that they preach. That their friendship is more important than, this or that, or
Wealth or
their
fame or whatever.
yeah, their busy, famous lives and all that stuff.
So, Spice World was released in 1997, directed by Bob Spiers. I was actually surprised that this movie is only an hour and 33 minutes long. It's a short ass movie.
It is. And I was thankful. Like, literally, the movie was starting, and I was like, how long do I have to sit through this? And I looked it up, and I was like, oh, thank goodness, it's only an hour and a half.
I was kind of getting like some fatigue towards the end. So, like, the last quarter of the movie, I'm like, this movie's still going.
I legit fell asleep a couple times.
Oh, did you? Okay. So you thought
I
it was
did.
just
I
boring.
was pretty tired. I didn't get a nap yesterday, so I was also pretty tired.
Okay.
Being 34 weeks pregnant, you need your naps.
Were you really enthusiastic about watching it initially, and then halfway through,
I was more nervous. No, I was actually more nervous because I knew that I liked it when I was young, and I knew why I liked it when I was young, which was just my huge Spice Girls fan love or whatever. But I had seen it enough times as a kid to remember as an adult it's not a good movie. So I was
were you able to kind of gauge your expectations a little bit better though?
Yeah.
Like you knew what it was going in.
Yeah, which is why I was kind of like, it's only an hour and a half, thank goodness.
Oh, sidebar. Having mentioned the manager, Simon Fuller, do you know who that is? Like, does that name sound familiar to you?
Yes, it does.
So Simon was one of the creators of the insanely popular TV music competition series Pop Idol, as well as the spin-off series American Idol.
Lordy, that makes sense.
And
I think I remember that.
Even before that, do you remember the girl group Eden's Crush?
Oh, definitely.
I was thinking about this group and I was like, holy fuck, what the hell happened to Eden's Crush? We were into that show. Like, you remember Eden's Crush was the product of the TV show. What was it? It was Pop Stars, right?
I think so. Yeah, that sounds right. It was a show dedicated to making girl group bands, right?
I don't know if it went past that first season. I want to say
I don't think
that
it did.
Pop Stars was just one season, and it was, I think it played off of, or maybe it was just the American version of an ongoing Pop Stars competition that that was going on in other countries. I want to say like Australia or something like that. But what the hell happened to Eden's Crush? I remember you were into that group as well, right?
I was. I don't know.
Group was actually pretty damn good.
They were, yeah. They just kind of dropped off the face of the earth. I guess we'll have to look into it and do a little post on it later.
Even had a young Nicole Scherzinger as a member, which a lot of people know her as eventually joining and becoming the front woman for the Pussycat Dolls, elevating them to popularity. But what's cool is the show Pop Stars, that actually served as Simon Fuller's inspiration for Pop Idol. So that's why I brought it up. I thought it was kind of cool because it's all interconnected, because I do remember clearly that Eden's Crush wasn't too far before, American Idol and all that.
Yeah, definitely.
And American Idol was just different because instead of doing a group, you just did one person.
Yeah.
So essentially, I remember seeing it. I was like, oh, this is just more of the same. Yeah. And that's why I never really went past that initial season of American Idol, because I was like, it's just, it's more of the same.
It's the same every season, season after season. And all those reality shows and competition shows never really been my bag. I've never really been all that into them. They're just the same thing over and over, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But going back to Spice World, so the film never actually had an official movie soundtrack, which is kind of interesting because the Spice World album, which is the way you differentiate it is Spice World the movie is 2 words, and then Spice World the album is 1 word. I don't know why they did that. Maybe because they don't want people getting confused or whatever. But,
I guess so.
But Spice World the album had just come out a few months. I want to say like a month or 2 before the movie, and this was the huge follow up to their first successful album, Spice. And since it was already being heavily promoted, Spice World, it also just kind of inadvertently served as the unofficial soundtrack for the movie.
I guess, it makes sense because all the songs, pretty much most of the songs in the movie were just songs from those 2 albums.
it has every single song from Spice World except for Move Over.
Oh, that's funny. I did not know that.
And
Whether played as a background or performed.
yeah, exactly. And what's interesting is they left out Move Over, and that wasn't because they didn't have enough time for it, because they even fit in a lot of songs from the first album. You know, they had like
Yes,
4 or 5 songs from Spice on there
exactly.
as well.
Yeah.
So it was interesting that they left off Move Over, but it kind of makes sense because I was looking this up. I was like, so why was this? What was up with this song specifically? And I do remember the song quite well because it always felt different from the rest of the songs on Spice World, in my opinion. The song Move Over, sometimes referred to as Generation Next, as it was prominently featured in the Spice Girls Pepsi
Pepsi
commercials.
commercial.
So you remember
Yeah.
those? I definitely remember
Yeah, I
those.
do.
And
Maybe so. Was it because it was like too futuristic sounding? Is that what it was?
so Move Over was written specifically as a jingle for PepsiCo's Generation Next advertising campaign and released January 1997. So the inclusion of the song on the Spice World album, I heard, garnered a lot of divisive opinions because the music critics, they thought that the production and the lyrical content just didn't match up with the rest of the album.
Yeah, I feel like maybe that was thrown on there more for the fans.
It could have
Because
been,
as a
yeah.
fan, I would have wanted to own that song
Hmm.
because it was part of the whole package. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But yeah, it definitely doesn't fit the rest of the album.
Yeah,
And I could see why like it didn't make it into the movie because of licensing reasons too. Because I was like Pepsi song.
yeah. I think it was like too closely associated with Pepsi, so
Yeah,
maybe they didn't have like full promotional rights for that song or something. I don't know.
interesting.
It is interesting, and like I said before, it to me it felt different from the rest of the songs. Like it's almost like like how the critics were saying, it was the production and the lyrical content. So I do feel like they just kind of repeat the same verses over and over throughout the song.
Yeah, yeah.
And most of the song is just the chorus, and the chorus is the part that was featured in the Pepsi Generation Next commercials.
Oh, I remember.
This song also features the most spice rap out of any of their songs on any of their albums, because usually there's only like one verse that's dedicated to rap, and that's like usually towards the end of the song.
Yeah.
But this entire song, I think all the verses are rap. So that's interesting too, is that it almost has, I wonder if Pepsi wanted them to go like a little bit edgier or something for this Generation Next
maybe a little bit
promotional
more
campaign.
This was also a height, I want to say, of hip hop during that time.
Yeah, it's awesome that
And
you
so I
bring
can
it up,
see it being
because
that kind of a thing.
the 90s was all about mixing rap into other genres, right? Like you have the rap rock with like the
Yeah.
new metal. So that was very prominent.
Like Linkin Park kind of thing.
I was totally into Limp Bizkit myself, so
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
I was definitely into that. That was like such a 90s thing. But this is also proof that there's also like pop rap as well.
Oh yeah, there was always a rap verse in a lot
of their songs,
like
right?
the late 90s, early 2000s, there was always there was always a rap part. We carried on for a long time.
I'm not like hating on Move Over, because I actually felt like it was really well performed.
It was fun, yeah. It was
catchy
fun
as hell.
Oh yeah.
But to me, it just felt the most hollow out of all the songs on the first 2 albums. Like there's almost like no heart behind it, Like it was just like.
Right. I wonder if they didn't even want to do it. We'll never know.
Maybe, I don't know.
I think we should get into the movie. I want to talk about all the quote unquote plot points and how they sucked.
And I also want to, before we like fully jump into the movie, I just want to mention how difficult it was to watch this movie, because this movie is nowhere to be found. And I had to come up with this fucking workaround in order to be able to watch this damn movie.
I do have it on VHS, but I don't currently have a VHS player, so it wasn't getting watched that way.
Who the hell has a VCR these days, right?
Exactly.
So I remember going in, this was like a couple of days ago, and I was like, okay, so I want to watch this movie before, we record the podcast. And so I was looking to rent it somewhere, and
it's nowhere.
I was looking around, and I could not find this anywhere, not on Vudu, not on Netflix, Prime, HBO Max, Hulu, even Crackle, like it's not an option to rent or buy anywhere. And this workaround that I had to do, I don't know if you want to explain this part, but it was quite interesting to say the
Well, it was a
least.
Voodoo feature. I mean, it wasn't available on Voodoo to rent or buy, but Voodoo does have a feature of transferring disc to digital. And so you just had to look up the UPC that would have shown up on any Spice World DVD and scan that in disc to digital, pay a couple bucks, and then you finally had it. That's the only way that you can watch it is Voodoo disc to digital. You can't rent it or buy it on Voodoo itself or anywhere else.
I quite literally had to Google like how the hell can I watch this movie? Like I'm like how can you watch Spice World now? Because I wasn't going to like go on Amazon and buy a physical version. I'm already in the process of converting a lot of my movie collection to digital anyway. So I just thought, most of the stuff I want is on Vudu. I'll just go on there and rent it. It's fine. But I couldn't even do that.
And congratulations. Now Spice World is part of your digital library.
Now I have it forever because I went through the app. I had to like allow access to my camera so I can scan a QR code. Yeah, I use the built-in Voodoo feature for converting a physical to digital, and I actually used my wife's phone to show the QR code so I can scan it with my phone.
Not even a QR code, a UPC code.
UPC code.
Yeah.
And then it finally gives you the option to purchase it. So yeah, you know what? Since I'm buying it, I might as well just get the HD version.
That's what I was saying.
I paid the $5.
I paid the $5 also. And I was like, I don't know how bad the SD version is going to be. Yeah. I'm going to splurge and get the HD version.
Splurge, yeah. It was either $2 or $5. And I was like, I might as well just get that version. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, going into the movie now.
Then it starts with a performance.
It was pretty cool because the intro actually serves as a literal introduction to each member of the group. Like you're not already going to know who the hell they are.
I know, right?
And what song did it sing at the very beginning?
Too Much.
I must say, there was some pretty terrible lip syncing going on here. I don't know if you noticed it.
The funny thing is that, okay, so here's an interesting side note that I've read out in the world is you may or may not know this, but the Spice Girls have had a couple of reunions over the years, and one member that is never present is Posh Spice. Victoria Beckham refuses to come back.
Damn, why is that?
And little by little over the years, I've kind of decided, at least, I don't know if this is a real reason, but I feel like is that she was actually the worst singer in the group. And I heard she didn't have a lot of parts. I don't know if you noticed. She didn't really have a lot of parts.
Wait, in the movie or in the songs?
No, in the songs, like in the group.
Because I was going to say, in the movie, she has a lot of parts.
Yeah, but she's not singing in those parts. I'm talking about like in the singing. And I heard, and I don't know if this is true, but I heard that she was so like singing was not her thing. I don't want to say she was so bad, but she was so not
the best
good that her parts were actually lip synced and everybody else actually sung at the concerts.
What?
They would turn off her mic and she would lip sync her parts.
No way. Is that really what they did to her? Why even keep her around? That's so crazy. Like, why would you recruit her in the first place?
I know.
You couldn't find anyone pretty enough that can sing and be posh?
Right. But yeah, that's what I heard. I don't know if it was true. That's a rumor. But it would make sense why she wouldn't come back because, there's kind of no point. You know what I mean?
I guess so.
Like
but...
she's not actually going to be doing any singing.
But she's part of the ensemble though, like the atmosphere of it. She brings that flair and that attitude as well, along with Posh. But what's interesting is that you say that her performances were mostly lip synced live, right? But if she had to have so much practice doing that, why was her lip syncing so bad in this intro?
You think it was hers was the worst? I wasn't paying attention, but I thought that hers might have been the best.
Her mouth movements looked so unnatural when she was singing. I'm like, why is her mouth like tongue sticking out almost? And it just looked really weird. I'm like, why is she singing like that? Just act normal. It was almost like she was trying to overcompensate.
To me, I always felt like her character had like her gimmick or whatever, like had the least, I don't know, personality, I guess.
You think
Ginger,
so?
even though Ginger kind of made her own gimmick up, and then even though it's based on her hair color or whatever,
Hmm.
and Baby, Sporty, Scary, they just they were kind of obvious, right?
Hmm.
And then Posh, also obvious, but the least interesting. You know what I mean? Like she was just there to literally be fancy.
So why was she your favorite? Like, what was appealing about her?
She was the prettiest. I don't know. I think I thought she was the prettiest. I
Okay.
was 10. I was very shallow.
So she was the least talented
Because I
one.
agree now. Like if I had to pick one now, I think it would be Scary or Ginger.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
they kind of had the most personality. You know what I mean? And they
Hmm.
they both had talent and stuff. I mean, not that the others didn't. So I feel like a lot of everything gets kind of exaggerated in the movie, but
Hmm.
especially Victoria, because otherwise she's kind of pointless. I mean, it's just about picking nice dresses and that's
Let's
it,
be fair. This movie is kind of pointless, but it was
right?
fun.
Yeah, it was definitely fun. I do recall the fun that I had, and here's another fun fact. I saw it in the theater. It came out around my birthday, the year I turned 13, and our poor dad
He went with you.
took me and a group of friends to see it for my birthday.
Wow. Okay.
And
Was
but that means
he like hating his life?
probably, I don't know. I wish I could ask him. I wish I could ask him. He probably wouldn't even remember, even if he was alive. He probably wouldn't even
Yeah.
remember.
He probably wouldn't. I think he blocked it out of his mind.
Right?
It was so
But I'm
traumatic
sure that was probably the worst day of his life.
because there was a bunch of screeching. Like,
And it was a shitty movie.
yeah.
Let's be real.
But you know what? He can sit through some shitty movies himself. All right.
Yeah, but he's actually interested in them. This was a
Somewhat.
shitty movie that he was not interested in whatsoever.
He would go to the sci-fi section, grab a random ass movie, and then I can tell from the box. I'm like, Dad, this movie looks like shit, and he's like, we'll see. And then, sure enough, after he was done watching, he's like, yeah, that movie sucked. And I'm like, why do you keep doing this to yourself? You know these movies suck.
That was his guilty pleasure, man. Sci-fi B movies.
Yeah.
That was his guilty pleasure.
But you know what? I was really surprised at how good the Spice Girls acting actually was. I wasn't ready for that. I thought for sure it was going to be like really cringy and terrible, but I thought the acting was really damn good.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say it was really good, but they were acting their roles on a daily basis anyway.
It
So it wasn't that far off.
was still even like turned up a little bit more for this movie, though.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think they did a terrible job, and the cast was actually, I was surprised to see some of the people that I saw in there, like Richard E. Grant, who played their road manager,
Hmm.
and the other girl that played Deborah. It's funny because to me she looks like, there were a couple of characters in there that look like somebody else to me, and I was like, oh, I swear it's them, and I would look it up and it's not. But this
Mm.
girl, her most recent role that I can recall was a role in Enola Holmes.
Oh,
But
okay.
I swear she looks like Jodie Whittaker to me, who is the most recent Doctor in Doctor Who.
Oh, she does kind of look like her. And I don't even watch
Thank
Doctor Who,
you.
but I know who you're talking about.
Yes, and Jodie Whittaker's in
Interesting.
plenty of stuff. And I saw her and I was like, oh, I think that's Jodie Whittaker, and it's not. And then there's a guy who when they're trying to get the movie together, the guy who keeps like coming up with these scripts.
Yeah,
That dude looks like Jason Bateman to me.
yeah. No, that guy was like too geeky.
Yes.
He looked too
Yeah,
geeky.
I gotta do a side by side of those two guys, of Jason Bateman when he was younger.
I can see
Oh,
maybe a couple features that resemble him, but I don't think so
I don't know. I think
overall.
it's the mouth area.
Maybe. And of course, you have Sir Elton John at the very beginning.
These are the cameos though. These are these guys playing themselves. So yeah, Elton John, Elvis Costello. That one. I don't even know who this guy is, but the guy who Scary Spice changes his hair, Bob something.
Oh, at the party, right? Okay.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
looked like
So
Slash to me.
he wasn't Slash. I thought the same thing actually. I was like, this guy kind of looks like, but no, definitely not. And then
When the girls first exit the venue, I don't know if this happened to you because I had like a certain volume set, right? Because the performances are going to be a little bit louder, and then like the audio, the dialogue's going to be really low. So I'm like, let me just turn up a bit.
I feel like that's a pretty 90s feature.
When they first exit the venue to meet the fans, and they're like on their way to their bus, the screaming fans, the audio for the scene was so freaking loud, and it like
They wanted you to feel it.
it almost blew my eardrums out, and that's what I was wondering.
Goodness.
I wonder if they left it like purposely that loud because they wanted to maybe resemble what it really could be when you go out there and you see the ocean of fans. They're so excited to be there, and maybe that happens sometimes where they come out and they're just like really caught off guard.
Yeah, I would imagine that would be really overwhelming. I mean, for me personally, I feel like it would be really overwhelming, but yeah, it could have been something that they did on purpose so they can get a little bit of feel of what that's like. But then we move on to probably my favorite part of the whole movie, which is this Doctor Who TARDIS bus.
Their magical double-decker tour bus.
Bigger on the inside than it could ever be on the outside.
I thought it was a pretty cool idea.
I love that bus. Yeah, if every other part of the movie sucked, the bus was awesome, and they all had their little stereotype sections and stuff like that. But I just love the fact that it was really comfortable and way bigger on the inside than it was on the outside, and had different sections to it, and that was great.
It was cool, yeah. It was this magic bus that was dubbed the Spice Bus, by the way. Yeah, this thing was like enormous on the inside, and I think they were trying to. I don't know if they necessarily were trying to play up the fact that it was insanely huge on the inside. They like took out the top floor or whatever, the top row of seats of the double-decker bus, and they basically had like the huge ceiling, right? Elevated ceiling.
Yeah.
And the only thing that was up there was like just the manager's little desk or whatever. But
I think they had a dining area.
Oh, did
I could have sworn I saw a dining area up there.
But that still would not be enough room to even represent what was in the movie.
Yeah.
You could almost have like a dance floor in the center of this bus.
Oh yeah.
It was crazy.
There was a lot of space in the middle of the unused space in the middle of the bus that would not exist in real life on a real double-decker bus.
Whose area, like whose like themed section of the bus did you like the most?
Probably the most comfortable one. I want to say I remember. I can't remember whose was the most comfortable. It might have been Ginger's or Scary's, but I do remember thinking that Baby Spice's section and Posh Spice's sections seemed the lamest because all Baby Spice had was a swing,
which is still pretty cool.
She had like a swing and a slide, which is cool, but like if you want to relax and lounge, that's not real great. And then Posh Spice didn't have any seating at all. She just had a runway.
Yeah, because that's what she does.
She would just stand on the end of her runway and chill there.
And she was always just looking at herself, like trying on outfits or whatever. I did like the bit where she was all like, "Which dress do you like better?" And she's holding up a couple different dresses, and they look exactly like the same thing she's already wearing.
Right.
And they like make fun. They give her shit for that. They're like, "Oh, it's the little black dress or the little black dress."
Gucci dress. It's the little Gucci dress or the little Gucci dress. How about the little Gucci dress? And she's like, "Good call."
And she was like, "Okay, yeah, sounds good." That's the one I was going with too. Yeah, it's pretty funny. I didn't realize that was her thing. I always thought like, sure, she wore like the fancy dresses or whatever that are like really like tight on her body, but I didn't realize that it was always like that black dress that was kind of like her initial signature outfit.
Like variations on the little black dress with embellishments here and there, kind of thing, cute things here and there, lace or something like that.
It was always Gucci.
Not always, I think. I think there were other fancy designers involved also.
Were you turned off by the campiness of the story though? I felt like it was pretty fun.
It was fun and stupid. We'll go with that. But I think the Spice Girls themselves, they did their thing. They were charming. They were cute. And then we get to the story plot, the little plot points. Like I was trying to think. I was like at the beginning of the movie, I was like, there's a lot going on in this for how little actually goes on, if that makes sense, So we have the introduction of the documentary crew that follows them around through the whole movie, and that was the part that I thought was the most pointless. What is their freaking point except to be following them around? There's no point.
I almost feel like they kind of played that paparazzi rule. Like there's always someone that's like trying to capture them and film them or whatever.
Well, no, that was that guy, that photographer that would like come out of the toilet and
Oh,
stuff.
sure, sure, yeah, that's
He
true.
was the paparazzi guy. Yeah, and then there's the side the plot the story about them trying to make a movie, which kind of ended up becoming the biggest one
Well,
because
the Spice Girls weren't trying to make a movie, but like you just had like this
it was the
production company.
manager and yeah, the
Yeah,
production the screenwriter and the production guy or whatever.
and this they just kept pitching shitty scripts or whatever.
Yeah, and they kept pitching shitty scripts and getting rejected and stuff. And eventually
That was funny.
they come to an agreement which is implied that it was actually Spice World.
Yeah, exactly.
And so he's actually pitching part of the story as it's happening in the movie. So he's,
Hmm.
it's kind of, yeah. And so, yeah, it seems like it's implied that what Spice World ended up being is what was pitched in the movie.
Hmm.
So I feel like that ended up being the biggest plot point, I guess, the
That was
biggest
kind of a
thing.
cool twist too.
Yeah, exactly. I thought that was like the cleverest part of the movie, to be honest. And then we have the random news guy who just doesn't want to see the Spice Girls everywhere
Hmm.
and decides to take them down for no reason whatsoever other than the fact that he's just sick of seeing them everywhere. And that's when they hire that random photographer guy who is
It's like
supposedly
super
really really
creepy.
good. Yeah, super creepy, really good at what he does. He had like some picture of the news guy when he was 12, you know.
He knew that he was going to need to use this at some point.
I know. And so I thought that was funny, but also ends up being pointless except for, for him to have his little change of heart at the
Yeah.
end. I don't know, it was stupid. So those are like the three things that went throughout the movie.
Do you feel like those were what was bugging you the most about the movie? Just like those plot points?
I wouldn't say those that was bugging me the most or anything like that because I think the little the little scenes here and there that didn't add to the story, those bugged me more. Like, they have the scene they're performing in Italy, or they have the scene where they have the two contest winners on the boat with them,
Mm,
or the best scene in the whole freaking movie. Huge sarcasm here. The alien scene.
yeah. Oof. Oh, we're getting to that for sure. The part that bugged me the most is the friend. Who the hell is this pregnant friend? Why out of everyone is she even there? Like, how do you have this regular person that is like chilling with
Their
them?
best friend.
I thought she was like a crew member or something, like maybe part of the production or
She
whatever.
actually is also related to Doctor Who. She was one of the main characters in a Doctor Who spin-off called Torchwood. Just wanted to
Oh
point
wow,
that out.
interesting.
Yeah, she's a Japanese actress, and she play. The funny thing is that it bugged me a lot because her name was in Torchwood. Her name was Toshiko. She was also Japanese in Torchwood,
Okay,
but they just shortened it to Tosh.
that sounds awesome.
I was so annoyed by that. Like at least Tosh or something. I don't know, but they just like completely
Butchered it.
butchered it to shorten it. Toshi? I don't know. I guess that might sound like Tushy. I don't know. But that's just a side thing that bugged me about Torchwood, even though I love that show. But anyway,
So her name was
um,
wait. Her name was Toshiko.
in Torchwood.
So
In Spice World, it was Nicola.
what if they named her Oshiko?
No. Ain't nobody gonna have that name. You dumbass.
For sure.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, I felt like she was just kind of annoying, and I was just sitting here wondering what the purpose of this character was, and I wonder
I think the
if
whole purpose of her character is just for them to have their little epiphany at the end that, their friends are more important than show business and all that stuff.
I also wonder if they wanted to have someone just kind of represent a regular person, a regular everyday person that goes through everyday things, that's not like over the top like everything with the Spice Girls.
Yeah, and then she also has to bring them down to reality at some point.
Yeah, and she's like the most relatable person to the viewer, I feel like.
Yeah, yeah.
And then it almost makes it seem like it's possible to have a regular person actually be good friends with the Spice Girls, and the Spice Girls will drop everything that they're doing to hang out with this person. It's possible.
I feel like that probably is real, except they probably all have their own individual friends. You know, they don't have like one friend that's best friends with all of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So yeah. Again, yeah, I agree. Like I remember remembering her before I watched it yesterday, and I was like, what was her point? And yeah, I think the whole point, literally the whole point, is just for her to bring them down to reality, and for them to have their little epiphany at the end.
Right. I do want to do a shout out to Scary Spice's astronaut outfit because that thing was pretty wild.
The one where they were practicing and she had the huge puffy coat on.
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting because it's like, who the hell would ever wear that while you're performing? But
I
you know,
know.
that was part of her style. She was really like out there, you know,
Yeah,
outgoing and
her
whatnot.
and Ginger Spice were like the most out there ones, but they were
Hmm.
out there in different ways.
Oh yeah, very different. Their manager guy though, to me, it was kind of interesting because I kept expecting him to be the villain. He looks like a stereotypical movie villain to me.
Right? And he's always like on the verge of having a freaking heart attack, and
Yeah.
he almost has a quote unquote, you know, redeeming moment at the very end. I actually had the captions on, so I had never caught this before
Okay.
in any of my watchings. But at the very end, he apologizes to Deborah, and then he tells her he loves her, but she at that moment she gets like called away,
What?
and so she never even hears it.
I didn't even realize there was like a love thing going on between those two.
Yeah,
That's
they were
interesting.
trying to insert, like, you know, the night before, I can't remember which one said it, but saying something about they should just go out, and basically implying that they should just go out, have a bunch of fun and have sex, and
Hmm.
you know that sort of thing. Have like a
Whatever
one
it is
night.
that you girls do, yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, so they're the two of them. They find each other in the bar, and they just, you know, one of them suggests that they should just do that, just have like a one
Interesting.
night stand kind of thing, and then it never really says if that happened or not. But yeah, he totally apologizes to her, and just as she gets called away, he kind of mumbles "I love you," and I never would have caught it if I didn't have the captions on.
Huh.
And but then like she never hears it, and they just go on like normal. And I don't know if that was supposed to be like a little redeeming moment for him, but overall through the whole movie, he was just kind of a douche.
So you didn't like him at all, huh?
Not really. And then he even has there was the part where that bugged me, where with the Spice Girls, where they were supposed to get a break, and he had to break the bad news to them. Here's
Mm.
another pointless. Their actual manager or whatever, the chief. Who the hell was that guy?
So there's different elements to the whole Spice Girls group, right? So you have the manager that's like basically babysitting them, and
Yeah,
oh, and to kind of like tie up like what we were talking about before. I guess I never really thought that there was a love interest thing going on because I felt like I guess she was their assistant, like the Spice Girls assistant.
yeah.
I genuinely thought that she was a good person, but I felt that he was the villain, and I just kept expecting him to turn on them at some point. I don't know, throw them under the bus, the Spice Bus, not literally, figuratively, but I kept expecting that to happen. So I guess that's why I wasn't really paying attention to any love thing. But isn't that a song too? Love thing, pun
I
intended.
think so, actually.
But yeah, I wasn't expecting that. But so the different elements to the group, you have the manager who's babysitting them, you have the assistant that's basically at their beck and call and is kind of like their confidant, their best friend, right? As
Yeah,
well. And then you have the almost like evil Bond villain guy, but he's not evil either. And that's Roger Moore, who's known for playing James Bond. And he it's funny that he plays like almost like a Bond villain, but he's supposed to be like the record label. He represents the
right.
record label.
Yeah, that's what I was seeing. Like he was like the production.
Yeah, the record label has the power and is kind of like is the one that's like lighting a fire under them. And that's why he's in constant contact with their manager because the manager has to carry that out and make sure it
Yeah,
happens.
yeah. So yeah, he's constantly about to have a heart attack because of this guy or whatever.
Hmm.
But then at some point they think they're going to get a break, and then he has to break the news to them that they're not getting a break, which is, you know, probably very
And that like split them up, I guess.
that they put their foot down and they're like, no, we're taking a break. And I was like, good for them. And then they're like, no, we're just kidding. We'll see you, you know, tomorrow morning, first thing tomorrow morning or whatever. And I was like,
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
what?
yeah.
I was so mad at that because I was like, they're supposed to be all about, you know, girl power and being
Equal
empowered and this and
rights.
that. Yeah, and and then they put their foot down and they show their womanly strength, and then they just totally turn over.
You know
And
what
I'm
though?
like,
I think what they were doing, they were flexing on him. So they told him that like,
they still didn't get their damn break.
but like they showed him that they have the power to like
Yeah,
walk off if they wanted to, but they're like, we're gonna do you a solid. We will like forego our break so that way we can stay on schedule. How about that? So they showed
I
that they do have the
suppose.
power, but they they did it in a fun, quirky way.
I suppose. I was still kind of mad about it.
Now, what wasn't fun or quirky was that fucking alien encounter.
The stupid alien encounter thing, because they all had to pee and all the toilets are broken at once because Meatloaf can't fix them. And aliens come down and all they want are like pictures and autographs. And we can stop talking about it now because it was pretty dumb.
Yeah, the fucking kissing or whatever. Like, I don't know. What was the point of even pulling over? Because they didn't even need to pee. They just went out into the woods to like
I know, right?
get away. It seems like.
I'm sure they weren't going to show us them peeing or whatever. So, they must have at some point, but
They had the dance class, or whatever, which was fucking dumb. They have like an obstacle course.
why would what is the point? If they needed help dancing, why would they ever call this dumbass?
What the fuck was he supposed to be? Like he was like this general guy that was like really flamboyant or something.
Like a drill sergeant? I don't know, but yeah, it was pretty dumb. And then they were like, what the hell, let's show you how it's done. And then they do their thing and he just kind of follows along with them. And then they do the little obstacle course. And then the house is haunted, and so they all sleep together. The photographer freaking comes out of the toilet.
That was probably the most unsettling part of the movie for me. It was like,
Right?
how the fuck does he come out of the toilet? What is he like a shapeshifter? Like what the hell is this?
I agree. I mean, I remember even back in the day thinking like, this is really creepy. This dude just came
Yeah.
out of the plumbing.
The flashes are waking the girls up as he's like taking
Yeah.
photos, but they're in like separate
As if it's like some
rooms.
sort of supernatural situation.
Yeah, I mean they kind of made it seem that way. Like there was almost like this
Yeah.
supernatural element to this paparazzi guy. I think a lot of this kind of plays in because this is all satire of like stuff that actual artists go through. So
That's true.
I think in their mind
There's more to it.
they probably envision like how the fuck do these photographers get these photos of us, and they probably that was probably
This
like
is how
the
they
story.
imagine it.
Yeah, they probably have like the story that like, oh, I bet they come up like out of the toilet or some shit, and they're like
they
inside of our
decided to
house
include it in the movie.
watching us while we sleep or whatever. Yeah, like it's like how do these people sneak into these areas and take these candid photos of them and be able to sell it? Where are they coming from? How
Or
do
hear
they
these
infiltrate?
conversations and get this information and
With Roger Moore's character, the head of the record label, I think that's also satire where it's like you got this like
definitely.
this guy that like is in control of this empire, and he's like in this lavish loft, with ridiculous animals that he keeps petting. Like every time it shows him, he has like a different animal. And he's very much like a Bond villain without actually being a villain, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, but I think they're trying to imply that he's kind of a villain because he was the one who was like no breaks, and he's a little bit villainy in anyway.
Slightly, I would say. And then like of course you got the manager that's like overly controlling and kind of micromanaging, and he's like always like stressed out and whatnot. And I imagine that's how a lot of managers actually are.
Yeah. So despite how unorganized this movie is, there are still elements that are symbolic and meaningful, especially if you're in the industry. So at least there's that. It's not completely 100% just shallow fan service.
Yeah, that's true. It was kind of weird was the Spice World came out, the album came out in 97, right?
I believe so.
And then Spice came out in 96.
I want to say it was before that.
I think it only came out a year later.
Was it really? Let's see. Oh yeah, I guess you're right.
So I don't think I've ever seen this happen where usually you spend some time to like promote and really ride that wave of the release of the album, and then you take the time to kind of write music and then record, right? I almost felt like they had like one giant tour and then they just like go right back into the studio to do it all over again.
And then film also.
Yeah, on top of that. And I heard there was a lot of criticisms over this because of the short turnaround. Like some were believing that the first album could have actually been promoted much more than what it was, you know, and like been more of a success had they not like shifted focus so quickly onto the next album right after.
I think their success was fine.
You know, maybe they could have been much more successful if they had paced it correctly. And maybe they wouldn't have gotten burned
longer.
out.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe not burned out so fast.
And I felt like there was an immense amount of pressure on the Spice Girls because of this fact. I always thought that the albums were like a couple years apart, and I felt like their reign, I guess you could say, was almost like the better part of a decade, but I guess not. It seems like it was
just
only
like
a
3 or
couple
4
years.
years, yeah.
And then that was it. They were like old news. It was crazy. They kind of disappeared. They kind of fell off as quickly as they showed up.
That's true. Yeah, I guess you never really think about that because everything, when you're 12, everything does come and go super quickly, but it feels like an eternity to you.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, I wanted to ask you too. Like how you're talking about how Victoria or Posh, she was usually lip syncing, and so she wasn't actually like featured on the songs. It seems like,
according to rumor.
Could you actually tell which girl was singing in certain parts of the song? Because I feel like I can only tell Sporty and Baby.
No, I could. I could tell all their voices apart.
All of them, okay. So could you actually hear Victoria in certain parts?
I did, yeah. Yeah, she did sing. I mean, for the studio albums, as far as I know, she did sing, but they probably, I don't know, maybe had to do more than one take, and I think she didn't have like the strongest singing voice either, so she's kind of soft. She was softer, and then I don't think she had the vocal strength to do it live.
That's what I'm thinking. I figured just like there's all this audio equipment, just like turn her mic up, you know, just turn that shit up if she wants to sing low, whatever. Hey, if Billie Eilish can sound loud to people, then I think anyone can.
Right. Yeah, she definitely has a quiet voice.
Also, in preparation for this movie, I was listening to the first and second album before I watched the movie. So I wanted to be familiar with the songs. And in the song Denying, that synth part at the beginning always tricks me into thinking it's going to be Say You'll Be There. Did that happen to you as well?
Yeah, it would. But
it's on a
different album.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I was like,
so that's the only thing. Yeah, that would kind of get me if I wasn't really paying attention. But since I usually listen to the album separately, that would kind of keep me, you know, in the.
I even compared the two. So Say You'll Be There has like a slower build. It kind of has like the and then like the song kicks in, right? But then Denying, it goes right into that synth part. So when you compare the two, it's pretty damn close.
Wow.
And I wonder why no one else really like kind of called them out on like, why are you using like the same like rhythm or whatever? Or, like...
I'm sure somebody has. I don't think it was, you know, widely publicized, and us 12-year-old girls didn't give a crap. But
oh, true, yeah.
You know,
it's almost like they're just like recycling a song or an idea. But you know, despite that,
and that was just a popular sound during that time.
I guess so, yeah. But it's like the specific notes in order of how they do it is very similar to their own song, which is only a year old.
Yeah.
But despite that, Denying is still a pretty damn good song, and it's catchy. That's actually, I think, one of my favorite songs.
I wonder what mine is.
Well, you'll have some time to think about it.
I know. I don't even think I've ever like pinpointed a favorite Spice Girl song now that I think about it.
Well, that'll be your homework while we finish up this episode.
Seriously.
There are a couple things that I wanted to go over before we get to the end.
Oh, sure.
So, really quick, was Posh already Victoria Beckham by this time, or was she still Adams?
I believe so.
Was she married to David?
Let's see.
In 97?
Let's see, what year? I know she definitely got married the quickest. No, she wasn't. They got married in 99.
Oh, shit. Okay. She was still Victoria Adams at this point.
Yes.
And you know what's weird is I never knew her as Adams. I only remembered her as Victoria Beckham.
You probably just didn't even learn her name. You didn't learn her last name until after she was married.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I think I only really knew them by the first name. We mostly just refer to them by their theme, right?
Yeah. Posh this or scary that or...
Were you also interested in the Spice Force 5 pitch? Because I actually thought that was pretty damn interesting. I would watch that.
I thought it was pretty dumb.
It's like super campy over the top, but it
It
felt
was, yeah. It would have been fun if they actually did something out of that. I think if they had executed it well. But
hmm,
even when they were pitching it, and like Scary Spice is supposed to be the explosion, she's supposed to be
demolition
the
expert.
demolition expert, and then she blows up the wrong building just in that little bit. I was like, what kind of expert? What the fuck?
But like, how funny is that? Like, I think that's the whole point of it. Is like you have like Spice Force 5, but like it's still campy and comedic at the same time. Like it's
Right.
not meant to be taken serious. Like she's like looking to the left and she pushes down on the little like trigger, and then like she's like, "Oh crap!" and looks to the right, and like
Yeah.
that building explodes. And then of course you got Ginger, who's like the infiltrator. She's like the master of disguise.
Of course. Yeah, that was hilarious.
So she goes into the telephone booth and
Oh, do you
transforms into
remember
that guy.
that little flashback when Baby's talking about how everyone's just gonna always gonna see her as innocent, and it does a little
Mm.
flashback that was like Clue, you know?
Oh
And
yeah,
that was Hugh Laurie. If you didn't notice that,
was it really?
yeah,
Okay.
the guy who was doing the whole accusing thing.
He's like, "Was it you?" And she's like, "It can't be me." And he's like, "You're right. It's probably him."
Exactly.
I wonder why Ginger's to me seems to be the most intelligent one in the film. Like she seems to just be the most knowledgeable about most things, and she speaks multiple languages. And
Yeah, I always kind of felt like she was the most mature in general. I feel like
not just in
she had the
theme.
most yeah, and then she had the most like world knowledge, if that makes sense, you know. I feel like
Hmm.
she was the most in touch with what was going on in the world.
Hmm. Which makes sense, like why she would kind of be the spearhead of the girl power movement.
Exactly.
Hmm, okay, and everyone else just kind of like followed her lead. So maybe that's why people thought that she was the de facto leader of the group.
Yeah, and like I said, she was also the oldest one in the group and everything.
I wonder if this is how the other girls thought of her, like, and they just kind of like blew it up, and really emphasized it in the movie, or if that was just something that the writers came up with, for the script.
Yeah, I don't actually. I feel like in the group in general, I couldn't tell if the others looked up to her or not, but she always kind of came off as the leader to me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. One of those pointless scenes that you're talking about, weren't they like in a coffee shop or something, and they just start busting out "Wannabe" out of nowhere just to like put on a show for waitress and the chef?
Well, they were reminiscing on how they started.
Okay, so this was after they split up already. They like kind of went
Yeah,
their
they had
separate
all gone
ways.
their own separate ways.
Okay.
You know, they were all mad or whatever. Had their fight
But it's
with.
like, why would they be mad at each other? Like, why would they split up and stop talking to each other?
I think they were just frustrated in general. They weren't like splitting up. They weren't mad at each other. And they were just kind of mad with the way things are going and with the way the manager was treating them.
Sure. Okay.
And so they just all decided to like take their break finally and all go home to like their respective places. And then they started all reminiscing about how they started and how they were actually with Nicola in this little coffee shop or whatever it was.
Hmm.
And they were friends, obviously friends with the owner, and they're like, hey, check out what we have. And you know, now this place is shut down, boarded up, and they all kind of just wander
Oh, so
there
that was a
and they're
flashback.
reminiscing. Yeah, that
Yeah,
was a
yeah.
flashback. And that's why they all looked different. Like they all looked younger. They all Nicola wasn't pregnant.
To me, this song is still overplayed. I fucking hate this song.
Do you really? I don't hate it, but yeah, you're right. It's definitely overplayed.
Anytime anyone ever mentions Spice Girls or wants to kind of like reference them, it's always "Wannabe," and everyone else is always like, "Yeah, I love that song." I will be okay if I never have to hear this specific song from them ever again. But you know what? I have to give credit where credit's due. It did serve as their great first single, and this is what really put them on the map.
Yeah.
And in a lot of ways, it was kind of the perfect single for them because it showcased their energy and their attitude, like it was basically all what they were about. It kind of encompassed everything that the Spice Girls were.
Exactly.
And they had a great harmony in the chorus as well, I'm not gonna lie.
And the one line in the chorus,
It had just gotten so much radio play when it first came
yeah,
out, and it
play
just
everywhere.
damn near played nonstop for that whole year until the next album came out, and then that's what kind of bumped it off.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. Anytime it's mentioned
Thank
in
goodness for
movies
Spice Up
or
Your
TV
Life.
shows, like I forgot what Brenda was watching. I think she was watching this show with Hilary Duff in it. I think it's called Younger. Have you heard of it?
Oh, no.
I think it's Younger, but
I was going to
there's
say How I
like
Met Your Father, because that's what she's doing right now.
no, I don't think maybe it was on there. It was something with Hilary Duff in it, but I think they mention Spice Girls, and then it starts playing "Wannabe," and I'm like, of course, because they didn't make any other fucking songs. That's the only one that
That one
everyone
is their
remembers.
most relatable song, or most recognizable song.
Recognizable.
Sorry,
I was like, I don't know about
their
relatable,
most
but
their most recognizable song.
for me, literally any song will do. Please.
That's just because all of the songs are recognizable to you, thanks to me.
That's true. But yeah, going back to the movie, having the Spice Girls in the delivery room. What do you have to say about this? Because I thought this was pretty dumb as well.
That would have been up to Nicola.
Is that like, are you allowed to have that many people in the delivery room?
Um, it depends on the hospital.
Okay.
Some hospitals will let you have however many people you want in there.
I, for
Some
one, I
won't.
always thought that it was like one person. That's it. That's all you're allowed. Maybe
No, and
two if it you want your mom in there too or something.
I'm pretty sure at Loma Linda I think there is a limit, but the limit's higher than I thought it would be. Because
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's more than two, or at least it used to be before pandemic times. Because now now I think it's one or two. But
A
when I
baker's
had
dozen.
Julian, right? When I had Julian, I remember being surprised by like the number of people you could have in there.
This also serves as the scene that I found the most hilarious. This scene legitimately caught me off guard and cracked me up. Was when Posh got slapped by Baby. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
What did she say to her?
I think she was just being overwhelmed by it. Like she was like, "I'm gonna faint. Someone slap me or something."
And Baby was
She
like,
actually slapped
okay.
her.
And then she like her reaction though, because she gets smacked and she's like, oh.
I wonder if that was scripted.
I think it was probably the script, but I just felt like that was such a funny moment because she was like surprised that someone actually slapped her. She was like, "How dare you!"
Right.
That was some of the most personality that I saw from Posh ever.
Yeah,
Either concert or movie.
that's true.
It was pretty.
Yeah,
It was pretty fun to
like I
see.
said, yeah, I think they were. I think they were fun in the movie. Yeah, you got to definitely see a side of them that you don't normally see because when you see the Spice Girls, they would be performing.
All I gotta say is the Spice Girls postponing their show to be there for their random ass pregnant friend. It really shows their fierce loyalty. And I hope that they do that for all of their pregnant friends, or else they're dead to me.
I'm right. I'm glad that they finally put their foot down and did that.
Yeah,
Because I was annoyed that they didn't get their break that they were supposed to get.
true. What did you think of that wicked and dangerous bus flying scene on the Tower Bridge?
Oh my goodness! Yeah, that was part of the movie pitch. That was obviously they were rushing to the show, but I feel like a lot of that was the speeding thing and the being on top of the bus for no apparent reason thing, and
They got out of the
flying,
bus just to get back in the bus.
yeah, and they like all that stuff was just part of the movie pitch.
Yeah, and it was funny because the manager's like, "That sounds expensive," and he's like, "You're right." And so he shows like this like little toy model going over his
Yeah,
head.
yeah. So that was fun. That was fun. Still stupid, but fun. And then they finally have their final. And honestly, I was falling asleep during that part.
Oh damn! And that was like
Not
the end of
because
the
it wasn't
movie.
exciting. Not even because just because I was tired. Not because
Okay.
it wasn't exciting. That was probably one of the most exciting parts of the movie, right?
The girls, I don't even think they used stunt doubles during that jump. No CGI. It was all practical effects.
I agree. Good job. Good job, Spice Girls.
Girl power.
That's right. Yeah, and then they have their great final performance, and that's pretty much it. Their quote unquote first live performance.
Oh, was it?
That was like the premise of the story is that this is their
Ever?
first live performance. Not that they didn't perform. I think I think they mean like televised live.
Oh, like big, like major show.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I was like, they performed with the asses in Italy.
Right? The asses. Another pointless part.
Hey, but you know what? It was probably fun for them. They're like, hey,
I
at least we
know.
get to see some men's asses. So that's cool.
Another part where they put their foot down and then rolled over.
I had to show that scene to Brenda though, where the head of the record label guy was bottle feeding that baby piglet. That was so adorable.
That was adorable.
It was like squirming in his arms.
I
and
know. They probably loved that. Everybody involved in the movie probably loved that.
She was so
Oh,
concerned.
you know, at the very beginning, when they first see Elton John and they all like kiss him and stuff, and he was just like, "Whoa," you know, kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
I was wondering. I was like, "Is this before he came out?"
Huh. I always thought he came out way before that, but was it later?
I actually don't know when Elton John came out.
Huh. He just gets caught up in a
Oh
spice
no, he came out in
whirlwind.
1992. So yeah, it was before.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, so maybe they felt even that's what made it more comical is
Well, I
that
mean,
like
everyone still loves Elton John, and everyone loved the Spice Girls too. So
yeah,
it makes sense that Elton John would also love the Spice Girls,
and
and
they're both like pop icons, you know, like they're
mm-hmm.
super popular, and it was yeah, it was basically just like he got caught up in this whirlwind of spice kisses, you know, and that was pretty much it.
Yeah. But yeah, I was just thinking that I was like, had he come out yet? You know, like that's
Hmm.
adds a little extra layer to it if he hadn't yet, which is funny. But yeah, he
No, I
totally
think
had.
I think that adds to the humor though, because it's like
Yeah,
you know there's no sexual
yeah,
connotation
it's
to
just
what's going
cute.
on. It's just
I,
fun
I
and
liked it. I liked it.
yeah. I feel like I'm using that description a lot. It's this movie's just fun.
Yeah, I think that's really its redeeming quality. It's the funness for the fans.
You know what wasn't fun was,
What?
and this was actually quite dark, was when the manager was planning to hang himself in
Yeah,
the theater. I was like, God damn.
yeah. That
Wow.
I don't think that definitely. I don't think that would fly. Like that would have to come with a trigger warning. You know, nowadays.
Yeah, I was like, this is like super dark. Wow, because he was gonna do it in front of the documentary crew, right? Like he was like, I'm gonna show
Like he
you
was
what's
gonna
gonna
go
happen.
on. He was gonna do it in front of the whole audience. He was gonna go on
He
stage.
was gonna start the show and then like hang himself with the noose, and he was like explaining it to the crew, and the crew was like cool with it. They're like, yeah, we're gonna get some good material now.
And
Everyone
then
was
when the
just fine
Spice
with it.
Girls show up, the documentary guy was like, "Well, there goes my great ending," or something like that.
That's fucked up.
Damn, I know. And that ends the stupid, pointless documentary crew side story that didn't actually have any point whatsoever.
I kind of feel for the manager guy because they did everything they could to piss this guy off, especially that boat scene. Like, what the fuck
Yeah,
were they doing? Putting those girls in
they're being
danger?
spontaneous.
We're just trying to have, a little like girl time or whatever they were saying. It's so stupid. What the hell?
Yeah, it was.
If those little girls drowned, or got hurt
Oh,
because
well, they all
being
had life. They did all have life jackets, so at least there's that. They were safety, but
they
yeah, that
did,
they definitely would have had to sign some forms before they did that.
yeah, super dangerous. So they could have fallen out and like landed on a buoy or something and like gotten seriously hurt. Anything could have happened.
Yeah. So it's about that time. Unfortunately, I can hear kids getting riled up.
Oh yeah. That is a wrap, folks. If you made it to the end of our podcast, then you're all invited to Spice World 2. Yeah, like
Right.
that's ever gonna
I
happen.
was gonna say the next world tour, which actually could happen.
But make sure you show up with full garb and everything.
Oh yeah. Speaking of full garb, if you were a Spice Girl, what Spice would you be?
Well, I felt like there were a lot of different options here because it's like you had everyone be a different and unique theme that like that was like something that really interested them, like you definitely got the idea that Sporty was like she wanted to do something that involved like being physical because she was pretty athletic herself, right?
Yeah.
So if we were part of the Spice Girls ourselves, like let's say if we somehow made it into the group and we need to come up with a flavor, a theme, or a gimmick, right? I was thinking, so what would have been my interest back then? Like what would represent me? And I was thinking I could be because I was really into this around that time, I would say Wrestle Spice. I'll be a professional wrestler, Spice Girl.
Oh my goodness.
Or you know what? Skater Spice. How about that?
Ah.
What about
That
you?
was, yeah. For me, I was thinking on a similar note. I feel like the spice designation was kind of like a major piece of their personality, but played up a lot. You know what I mean? And then I
Okay.
was thinking like, what would that be for me? And right now, I feel like it's kind of I don't know if this is a I don't know if this is a good thing to say or not, but like at least right now, a lot of what's going on with me is motherhood, right? While I have
Hmm.
two almost three very young children, but I did not want to go with that.
And you know what? They even had a section in the movie regarding that.
Yeah, and so I thought back a little bit, and I decided that I would be Dainty Spice,
Interesting. Okay.
and she would be into a lot of period wear, and so she'd be wearing, but like sexied up, because everything about the Spice Girls is a little bit sexied up, right?
Okay.
And so she'd be wearing like, like a French Revolution crazy dress, but like sexied up, like the front cut out and you can see her legs, or like, an old Victorian stuff and like a huge French wig or something like that. But all of it would always be sexied up. So she would be into, and all her movements would be graceful and dainty while she danced and stuff. And so kind of similar to Posh, I guess, but like in the past. So yeah,
An older
that's the
feel.
Spice Girl that I envisioned. Period wear.
I didn't actually start watching professional wrestling until probably like 2000s. Now I think about it, and I don't even think
Uh
they made it there. They were only really popular from like what, like 96 to 98, and then they just kind of fell off.
huh.
But
Yeah.
yeah, you know what? I think it's like, what else
Could be
could
Skater. Skater was good. Or Twisted Metal Spice.
metal? Yeah, I don't even know if I was into like metal around that time. That might have been a little bit
No,
later
Twisted
too.
Metal
But
specifically.
we'll see. Going in the same vein as that, I would say nerdy spice. How about that?
There you go.
Because if I'm just going by now, I would just be Old Spice.
Right, I was gonna say I would be Grumpy Spice probably. Grumpy Spice or Mom Spice. Maybe like a nurturing spice. I don't know.
This movie it was like a lot of fun going back because it was just, such a nostalgia trip. It was really interesting to see like how this movie has aged since like the first time we watched it.
Oh yeah, it did okay. I think it was, a lot of. I mean, since it wasn't a lot of like CGI or special effects or something like that,
Mhm.
I think it aged okay.
And it was interesting that they decided to go the meta route because, yeah, like how you're saying, the pitch of the movie is like this movie, Spice World.
Yeah,
And so it's like a movie about them making a movie about this
yeah,
movie.
exactly.
And even gets more meta when they address the audience watching the movie in the end credits. And they're
Yeah,
like commenting on people like, why are you still watching? These are the credits, like, go home. And then it just explodes. Because
right.
there's that random bomb on the bus or whatever
Yeah,
that made no sense.
exactly. And then they're like, some people are watching this on tape, and was there nothing interesting on TV or whatever? And I was like, nope.
And you know what? Like, this wasn't my first nostalgia trip though, because I did actually follow up with the girls when back in 2019 when they did like that UK tour.
Right.
I forgot what that was for, but I think they were only like toured around the UK.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because Ginger left the Spice Girls, and then she came back, but then Posh left, so it's like they just
Yeah.
never really had like the full like
I know.
five
After
again.
Ginger left, they never had the full five again, and they keep trying to get her back, but she's
Yeah.
always like, "Nope, I'm not interested. Nope, I'm not interested." And
Man, yeah, I watched that whole show though, and to Brenda's chagrin, because she's definitely not like, she doesn't have that same nostalgia that we did,
right,
and
yeah, I
I think
watched the
she
whole
was
thing
much
too.
more of a casual fan.
Yeah, I watched it and I loved it. It was very nostalgic and very heartwarming to see them back together and see them performing my old favorites and stuff like that.
And I want to shout out to Sporty, and I know we've talked about this in the past, but I want to say that Sporty, she hasn't lost her touch. She, out of
She has
everyone, I
not.
feel like she can still bust those moves out. I always felt like she just never really got the respect she deserved, in their
Yeah,
heyday.
she has a unique voice, and I don't think it's everybody's cup of tea. It
Hmm.
definitely wasn't mine at the time, but I can appreciate it. And she does have, like, she can sing, and she has
She
power in her
can
voice and stuff like
backflip.
that. And she can backflip at the same freaking time. Like, yeah, props to her for sure.
When you think about it, Sporty kind of had all of the best parts in every song.
Yeah. It's because she had the most power. She had the most vocal power, I think. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
she had, like, again, her voice itself is not everybody's cup of tea, but she could carry those parts the way that the other Spice Girls couldn't. You know what I mean?
yeah, definitely. Like Sporty, I think she's kind of like held up physically, like physicality speaking. I think she's kind of like maintained it, but in terms of like who aged the best, I think Scary hands down aged the best.
Yeah.
She still looks, if not exactly the same, I think she actually looks better now than she did back then, which is
I can
funny
see
to
that.
say.
Yeah, I mean, let's be real. Ginger and Baby are aging like white women, and Victoria Beckham, she keeps her beauty through. I'm gonna assume that's what I'm assuming. I'm not gonna say it, but I'm gonna say that. That's what I'm assuming. We're gonna suddenly be getting all these cease and desists from Victoria Beckham because I'm talking so much crap about her right now.
Yeah, we're spreading lies.
You're saying that I lip sync and had surgery? I'm not saying that. I'm saying I've heard it. That's all.
Before we wrap this up for good, I do want to mention one last thing, and I think you'll probably appreciate this. So, with the Spice Girls being so popular for those couple years, and then not long after the movie, Ginger kind of left, they start working on the third album, and I remember this vividly. I wanted to give an honorable mention to the song Goodbye because I don't know if they ever said it, but this song a lot of people thought was dedicated to Ginger leaving, which was a big deal for the group. It
definitely was, yeah.
And I remember you racing home with this VHS in hand, this unmarked VHS, and you had a recording of MTV when Goodbye, the music video, had just dropped.
Yeah, I probably taped it at Kim's house because she had cable.
She had MTV, and I remember you watched that thing on loop. Like, you just kept watching it over and over and over.
Yep. I bet Mom and Dad loved that.
I went back and watched it before we recorded this, and
it's kind of emotional, isn't it?
This song's intense. Like, this song is still pretty awesome. The video itself may have aged a bit, but you know what? The song holds up. I'm just going to say the song holds up.
I believe that was Victoria Beckham premiering her short haircut, too.
Oh, yeah, that's true. She went like Pixie, huh?
Yeah, she did.
She always had the bob, right?
Yeah.
Or like the A-line cut thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? In this song, Scary brings it home in the climax of the song. So I just want to give her props for that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good song.
Anything else?
No, I think that's it. Yeah, I'm gonna have to take off. I hear kids crying, and Andrew texted me that Julian misses me.
Cool. All right. This has been Aflixionados Podcast, episode 15, Spice World. Just a reminder, we are available on all major podcast streaming services, with new episodes dropping on the first Saturday of each month, 5 a.m. Pacific. Thank you to listeners out there for joining us, and we will see you all next time.
Woo!
Girl power.